Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Luffy is now at a crossroads. While he faces the dangers of Elbaf, his friends confront challenges outside the New World. Some time ago, Boa Hancock was attacked and injured by Blackbeard. And now, I'll show you how Luffy reacts upon discovering this. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, if there's one thing we already know about Luffy, it's that he takes the title of captain very seriously. To him, every friend, ally, or even someone who has shown him any kindness is automatically part of his protected circle. When someone crosses that line, as Blackbeard has done so many times, it's easy to imagine Luffy reacting explosively. Now, if he were to learn in Elbaf what happened to Boa Hancock, how she was hurt by Teach and only survived because Rayleigh saved her, I think it would be one of the most intense moments in the entire One Piece saga. Luffy already has plenty of reasons to dislike Teach. Blackbeard didn't just betray Ace's trust. He orchestrated the events that led to Ace's capture and eventual death. This quiet grudge that Luffy carries deep in his heart has probably never been erased. And now, learning that the same man who caused so much pain to him and his crew attacked Hancock, his contained rage might finally erupt. Luffy isn't the type to hold grudges without taking action, and when someone attacks someone he considers a friend, and in this case, someone who clearly harbors strong feelings for him, it's like poking a volcano on the verge of eruption. I believe Luffy's initial reaction would be a mix of shock and disbelief. The scene would likely begin with someone in Elbaf, perhaps an ally or a reliable source of information, revealing what happened. It could be subtle, like Shanks, or even a giant warrior mentioning the latest news about Teach and his attacks to acquire powerful devil fruits. When Hancock's name comes up, Luffy would probably interrupt immediately, demanding details. That's when he would hear the truth. Blackbeard invaded Amazon Lily, destroyed everything in his path, and Hancock only survived because Rayleigh arrived in time. Knowing how Luffy reacts to news about his friends, I think there would be a heavy silence, the same kind we saw when Ace was mentioned before Marineford. Maybe Zoro or Sanji would notice something is wrong and try to talk to him, but Luffy would simply walk away, head down, fist clenched. The crew would understand that he's about to explode, but no one would say a word, because they all know that when it comes to protecting his allies, Luffy doesn't accept interference. Now, it's important to remember what Hancock represents to Luffy. Although he has never directly reciprocated her romantic feelings, Luffy clearly respects and cares deeply for her. During the Amazon Lily arc, Hancock was one of the few people who helped Luffy in one of the most vulnerable moments of his life, right after the Straw Hats were separated. She risked everything to help him get to Impel Down, putting her own life in danger to ensure he could rescue Ace. This, to Luffy, is something he'll never forget. He may not express it in the same way Hancock does, but his loyalty to her is undeniable. What would make this moment even more impactful is Luffy finally realizing the gravity of what happened. Until now, he has always known Blackbeard was dangerous. But hearing about Hancock being so brutally injured would be like confirmation that Teach has no limits. Luffy, who is usually optimistic and believes in the best in people, would once again be forced to confront the harsh reality that the pirate world is brutal, and that Teach is the worst kind of adversary, someone who hurts and destroys without mercy just to achieve his own goals. I believe Luffy's initial focus would be finding a way to learn more about Hancock's condition. He would insist on asking what happened to her after the attack, whether she's safe, and if Rayleigh managed to protect her completely. This moment of genuine concern would showcase the most human side of Luffy, the side that places others' needs above his own. Upon discovering that Hancock is alive but severely injured, it would only strengthen his resolve to take action. At this point, I think the Straw Hat crew would step in to try and calm Luffy. Sanji, in particular, would probably be just as furious as Luffy upon learning that a woman was so brutally attacked. He would likely be ready to follow Luffy in any revenge plan he decided to pursue. Zoro, on the other hand, would try to be more rational, reminding Luffy that going after Teach without a plan could put everyone in danger. Even so, Zoro has his own sense of loyalty and would probably support Luffy as long as he didn't act completely recklessly. What makes this situation even more complicated is the fact that Blackbeard is clearly getting stronger and stronger. He's not just attacking randomly, he's methodically collecting devil fruits, and the fact that he personally went after Hancock and her Mero no Mi only reinforces the idea that he has big plans for this power. To Luffy, this would feel like a direct provocation. Teach has already taken so much from him, and now he's trying to take something from someone Luffy considers a close friend. For Luffy, this is something he cannot ignore. I think this moment in Elbaf would be a turning point for Luffy. Until now, he has been following his journey with the idea of becoming the Pirate King, facing challenges as they arise. But upon learning what happened to Hancock, he might decide it's time time to take direct action against Teach, not just to protect his friends, but also to show that he will no longer tolerate any interference in his path. The development of this revelation would likely culminate in an important decision for Luffy and the Straw Hat crew. Perhaps he decides to go after Teach immediately, or maybe he sees this as a reminder that he needs to get even stronger before facing him. Whatever the choice, the emotional impact of this discovery on Luffy would be profound, shaping the course that he and his crew will follow in the coming chapters. After processing everything that happened to Boa Hancock, I believe Luffy's anger would surface in a way we haven't seen before. It wouldn't be the impulsive explosion he's known for, like when he punched a celestial dragon at Sabaody. No, this time it would be a colder, more calculated anger, one that shows just how much he's grown since he started his journey. This anger wouldn't just stem from the fact that Teach hurt Hancock, but also from the realization that as long as Blackbeard remains in the world, everyone Luffy loves will be in danger. I think a crucial moment in this situation would be when Luffy calls the entire crew for a meeting. He's done this a few times before, but this time the tone would be different. He'd be serious, perhaps, even with his hat covering his eyes to hide the weight of what he's feeling. With the crew gathered, he would explain what happened to Hancock. Not with too many details, after all, Luffy isn't one to dive into explanations, but enough for everyone to understand the gravity of the situation. I believe the reactions would vary. Nami would probably be horrified and ask if Hancock is okay. Sanji would be absolutely furious, probably lighting cigarette after cigarette while declaring that Blackbeard deserves hell for hurting a woman. Usopp, on the other hand, might react more cautiously, reminding Luffy that Teach is one of the most dangerous men in the world. Robin, with her wisdom, would likely say something cryptic about how facing Teach is inevitable, but it needs to be done strategically. And Zoro? Zoro would only need to hear it once to be ready to fight, because to him, if Luffy wants something, it's enough reason to draw his swords. Now, here's the dilemma. I think Luffy would decide that he can't simply ignore what happened, but he would also know that going after Teach immediately would be far too risky, especially with Elbaf still being an unknown territory full of potential. So, what would he do? I believe Luffy would begin to plan, but in his own way. He's not a strategist like Law or Robin, but he has an impeccable instinct for knowing the right moment to act. Maybe he would decide to train even harder in Elbaf, taking advantage of the giant's legendary strength to hone his skills. After all, he knows he needs to be at his peak strength to face Teach, who has already shown himself to be an almost unbeatable adversary. In the meantime, I think Luffy would become more introspective. He's shown before that despite being outgoing and optimistic, he has moments of deep reflection. Maybe he would step away from the group for a while, sitting on a cliff or somewhere isolated, looking at the horizon and thinking about Ace, Hancock, and how much Blackbeard has already destroyed lives. It would be a rare moment of vulnerability, but one that would show how much he's growing as a leader and as a person. The crew's role in this moment would be crucial. Zoro would probably keep an eye on Luffy, making sure he doesn't let anger consume him. Sanji might try to cheer the captain up in his own way, offering food and words of encouragement. Nami and Robin could use their skills to gather more information about Teach, trying to figure out what his next moves will be. Even Usopp and Frankie could contribute, maybe coming up with traps or strategies for a potential confrontation. And as all of this unfolds, I think we would slowly see a darker side of Luffy emerge. Not that he would become cruel or vengeful, but determined in a way that would make it clear he won't rest until Teach pays for everything he's done. I think Oda would portray this with small changes in Luffy's behavior. Maybe he speaks less, or maybe his characteristic smile temporarily disappears. When the time comes for Luffy to make a decision, I think he would surprise everyone. Instead of simply going after Teach immediately, he would likely do something unexpected, like seek allies or find a way to protect Hancock and her island from future attacks. He knows he can't be everywhere at once, so ensuring Amazon Lily's safety would be a priority. Maybe he would even ask Rayleigh for help again, or seek advice from Shanks. However, I believe Luffy's real preparation to face Teach would happen in a more personal way. He would use his time in Elbaf to strengthen himself both physically and emotionally, perhaps even exploring new limits of his conqueror's haki, or developing an even more powerful technique. And when the time finally comes to confront Teach, I think Luffy would be more than ready. The confrontation with Teach would be the climax of this emotional journey. Luffy wouldn't be facing just any enemy, he would be confronting everything that Teach represents: betrayal, destruction, and the constant threat to the people he loves. It would be a fight not just for revenge, but also for justice and the protection of everything Luffy holds dear. I believe this battle would be one of the most epic moments of One Piece, showing just how much Luffy has grown since the beginning of his journey. And in the end, regardless of who comes out victorious, one thing would be certain: Luffy would never be the same after facing Teach and protecting those who are important to him. This would be the true test of Luffy as the Pirate King, not just in terms of strength, but also in terms of heart and determination. And as always, he would prove that he is up to the challenge. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.